house needs painting, the grass needs mowing. Where's he at?
Hi, this is Hank. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me your name and your number and I'll get back to you.
He's gone fishing.
Hello and welcome to Hank Parker Off the Water. Hey, today I got a really special guest, a young guy, man, a young guy. I used to be young, but that was years ago. Today I got Khristian Rousseve on, and he is on the LSU fishing team, bass fishing team. Hello, Khristian.
Hey, Mr. Hank, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. I'm glad I got you. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. Did you fish this morning?
No, sir, I didn't, unfortunately. No, sir. Maybe on the weekend, more than likely.
Oh, you got your priorities out of whack. I figured you'd already caught 2 or 3 big ones this morning.
Oh, yeah. Nah, not today. Not today. It was just relaxing, getting back in school and stuff and getting stuff situated with the apartment and stuff like that, you know?
Oh, all that fun stuff, man. Better you than me.
Yes, sir.
I'd rather be fishing.
No, yeah, absolutely. That's right. That's right. Definitely this week, more than likely.
All right. Well, Khristian's on the LSU bass fishing team. How many years you been doing that, Khristian? How many? Are you a sophomore or a junior?
No, sir. Actually, I'm a senior this year, so I've been fishing for about 3.5 years now. So I've been enjoying every bit of it.
Senior, so you're an old man all of a sudden.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, golly, wow. So, all right, let me tell you, I met Khristian down in Venice, Louisiana, where I absolutely love to take a bass rod and reel, an inshore rod and reel, and catch big redfish. So I met Khristian. We talked. I had a great time. I said, man, I need you on my podcast. I want to talk to you're actually the first collegiate fisherman I've had on my podcast, so I'm excited about talking with you about what that's all about. But I was down red fishing when I met Khristian. He had a big bay boat. He's all charging up. So I'm assuming, were you red fishing? What were you doing down there?
When I was down there, I was actually snapper fishing in the morning and going to catch redfish later on in the day, actually.
So you're catching those big snapper. How deep were you catching them?
What's that? I didn't hear you.
How deep were you catching your snapper?
Oh, I was fishing in about 500 feet of water and catching them about 300.
Wow, I don't have enough string on my reels to do that.
Oh, yeah, it takes some muscle and it takes a lot of line for sure.
That's pretty crazy stuff. Then you caught reds in the afternoon. We struggled a little bit with the red fishing. I don't know what's going on. The last 4 years, it hasn't been quite as good as it has in the past. What do you think's going on?
It just could be, based on the seasons when the Mississippi River rises, the fish will probably push out more, and definitely with the saltwater intrusion that they had earlier this year plays a key factor with the seasons with the redfish down there, I just think that, with that type of weather and transitions with the river rising and stuff plays a key factor when you're fishing in South Louisiana.
So you think when the river falls out a little more, it's going to be good again, and that's probably been the big holdup?
Yes, sir, it has. So the water can get cleaner, and I think that's the main reason,
Well, I'm going to go back down there then. I'm going to wait on you to call me and say, hey, they're biting now.
Absolutely. I sure will.
Now, how often do you go down to Venice?
More than likely when I get a break from my tournaments with college and all that stuff, I head down on the weekend when I get a chance to come back home. So most of the time when I'm in Venice, it's mainly on the weekends. Like when you see me on that Saturday, I come down like on a Friday night, fish Saturday and Sunday, and then I head back home Sunday evening,
I got you. So now where is home for you?
I live in Vacherie, Louisiana. It's about 2.5 hours away from Venice.
Okay, man.
It's in the river parishes, as a matter of fact.
Okay, well, you live in a good part of the world when you like to hunt and fish.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right, so now tell me how you get on the LSU college bass fishing team. How did you arrive at that? Did you get an invitation from high school, or how does all that work? Explain it to me.
So as a matter of fact, you saying that I got an invitation through high school. I started out a fishing team at my high school, West St. John High School in Edgar, Louisiana. And I started fishing in 8th grade, as a matter of fact. And, I just, transitioned as a better angler from time to time. Like my first year when I started, it was a little rough. And as I went to 9th grade, I'm getting a little better, just sharpening my skills, and going to 11th grade, I got better, and my senior year, I just excelled, man. I qualified for the state championship, won a few tournaments, had top 10 finishes consistently throughout the year. And as a matter of fact, I attend LSU Shreveport. And as a matter of fact, our team just finished 6th in the country this year with the point standings. But we was on Toledo Bend. We was fishing a 2-day tournament. And this was my senior year in high school. And the first day, it was pretty rough. And then the Sunday on the second day, I ended up weighing about 15 and a half pounds, and that got me to first place. And as a matter of fact, LSU Shreveport coach Charles Thompson was out there. He was checking in with the anglers, asking them how was it and stuff like that. And as a matter of fact, we win the tournament that Sunday, and I head back home. I get home late Sunday night, and I get a text on Facebook Messenger that Monday morning. And there was a guy named Charles Thompson. He reached out and said, hey, have you ever thought about fishing in college? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. I would love to fish in college. So he said, hey, man, look, let's hop on a quick FaceTime call and stuff like that. And me and him got to talking, and the rest is history. I'm at LSUS now. That's how it went.
So you actually got recruited by the coach himself?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's pretty cool. Now, so you started out your first year on the team. How many members were on your team at the first year?
The first year we had about 12 guys. It was about 12.
Okay, and how many members do you have on your team now your senior year?
Right now we have about 20.
20, so you've grown. That's pretty impressive. And so
yes, sir.
Where and when will your first tournament be?
My first tournament will be on Kentucky Lake in September. It's going to be an ACA Big Bass Bash over there.
That's your first one? That is a big deal, man. That's a long way away, too, Kentucky Lake. That's
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's going to be on September 21st and 22nd.
Okay, not far away. So how far a drive is that for you leaving? Do you leave from home or you leave from school?
Oh, I leave from school. We'll leave from Shreveport. So what we normally do is me and the guys on the team, we'll meet up on a Sunday, and we'll meet up in Shreveport up there in that area, and we'll head out. So it's about from Shreveport, I want to say about 8.5 hours, 9 hours maybe.
Yeah. Now, have you ever been there before?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This will be my second time going over there. I went last year.
Okay. Kentucky Lake's a big body of water.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is. I love it. Actually, that's one of my favorite places to go. I took a big liking to it the first time.
Well, it's a whole lot different from fishing in Louisiana.
Oh, yeah, definitely. From where I'm from in South Louisiana, the deepest water we might have to fish is maybe 5 feet.
I thought about that. There's a lot of deep water in Kentucky Lake, steep banks, man. That's a whole different deal. How did you adapt to that first time you ever went there?
Oh, when I went there, some of the guys on the team, they're from North Louisiana. So, those guys have lakes like Toledo Bend, and they'll travel to Sam Rayburn and stuff like that and fish pretty deep. So that's how Coach tries to pair us. He tries to put a shallow water guy and a deep water guy together, and they can figure a thing out or two. Iron sharpens iron, So it was one of those deals, and just fishing with a good group of guys, man, and they teaching me a few things, and I can show them some things. And when we got to Kentucky Lake, it wasn't that hard, like fishing deep, we use techniques that we're doing Toledo Bend, it's not that hard,
So your coach pairs you together, and you fish together in practice, and then you all get together as a team, and you say, okay, this is what we figured out, this is what's going on, this is what we think, and they give you their ideas, and you kind of put that in a melting pot, and you come up with your strategies on how you're going to fish. Is that kind of the way it works?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just about. And, most of the time we have a lot of inter-squad tournaments, which sharpens our skills, and that's why I think we're good anglers today. We'll be fishing on Toledo Bend one weekend, and coaches say, hey, look, let's have a tournament on Sam Rayburn inter-squad tournament, so he puts us with different guys, and whoever we have a good relations and we build good chemistry with, that's who he'll put us with.
That's pretty cool. Now I've never done anything like that in my lifetime where I had a coach where he actually sat back and directed and said, okay, I'm gonna pair these guys together, and then he collects. I'm assuming the coach will talk to you and all the other guys, and they'll put ideas together, and then he'll transfer that over to you, and he'll tell you what he thinks you need to be doing tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's kind of exciting, man. You got a sounding board you can bounce off of and get things done.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, I like that. Well, now you fish all over the country now. That's a long way to go from Louisiana to Kentucky Lake. How about, have you fished for bass around Venice? Have you done any of that?
Yes, sir, I have. Yes, sir, I have, man. When I'm fishing down there, the only two things I'm throwing is a chatterbait, and I got a flipping stick in my hand, flipping like a 3/4 ounce weight in the kangaroos.
It's pretty impressive. I fished down there years and years ago and caught a lot of bass. And of course, they had 2 Bassmaster Classics, maybe 3. And yeah, they had 3. Mike Iaconelli won 1, Davey Height won 1, and Kevin Van Dam won 1. So I know they had 3 classics there. And I caught a lot of fish. I caught a lot of bass fishing the grass lines, and you'd catch redfish and you'd catch a bass, you catch another redfish, you catch another bass, catch them back to back. It was kind of crazy. Then I guess it was Katrina, one of the hurricanes blew in there and blew all that salt water in and killed the bass. And now they're back in full force. When I went down there last week, I saw bass boat after bass boat after bass boat. I guess they had some kind of a tournament.
Yes, sir, they did. They did. It was a matter of fact, it was different club tournaments, and one of the clubs was a good friend of mine that he runs the little trail, and they had a 2-day tournament over there. But it said it sucked for everyone. The most that won was only like 10 pounds.
Ah, when I fished,
Yeah.
I didn't fish this time for bass, but 2 years ago I fished, and I just fished the little grass lines, just almost where you had redfish, and I just fished a frog and caught them pretty good, and then went to a Texas rig worm and caught them pretty good. So, and we caught 2. I caught one about 4 pounds and one about 3.5. So I was pretty impressed. I liked it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's what I always have tied on when I'm fishing down south. As a matter of fact,
You can't hardly beat
all the
that.
time.
Yeah,
No, sir.
We talk about fishing lures being a tool and different tools for different purposes. As you travel and fish more places, that's going to be a challenge, and always is. But it's a fun challenge, and it seems like you're ready for it and excited about it. Where, other than Kentucky Lake, I know you said you're fishing Toledo and Rayburn, which is right there in your backyard from Shreveport. Where else are you fishing this year besides Rayburn, Toledo, and Kentucky Lake?
And so, as a matter of fact, speaking about Rayburn's going to be my next tournament on September 27th, MLF College Open. And then after that, I'll be fishing. Yep. And then after that, coming up in October, I'll be fishing the ACA Collegiate Bass Open on Lake Dardanelle on October 12th through the 13th.
Okay, well, that's exciting. Now, are you pretty nervous about the Major League Fishing Championship tournament on Rayburn?
No, sir. No, sir. Rayburn, I've been there a bunch of times. I've been to Lake Dardanelle more than one time, so it's all these lakes are recurring, I mean, starting in my freshman year, I was going to these places, so I got some experience,
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident in all these tournaments, just getting familiar with the lakes,
So what is your plans once you get through college? Are you going to try to fish Major League or bass? Or are you going to try to fish on the tournament circuits? What you planning on doing?
When I finish college, I plan on, getting my degree in finance, my bachelor's in finance. And then after that, I got a new bass boat. I said, heck, I'm going to go ahead and try to fish the BFLs and work my way up, just like I did throughout high school.
Yeah, that's exciting. So you're going to get a real job, though. You're going to get a job somewhere in financial management. And so you're going to have a real job, and then you're going on the side, you're going to fish the BFLs, and if it all falls in place, then you may leave that real job for a little while and just fish professionally, or you may stay in that real job and just keep working your way up on the BFLs and into Major League Fishing or bass or whichever.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, hopefully, having, working on getting great sponsors. I say once I'm out of college, I said, heck, I might not have to go to work. I can jump straight into fishing, and hopefully get lucky enough, do well in my tournaments and work my way up the ladder and might not have to never work a day again.
Yeah, I like that idea. Work, a job, will mess you up. It's the worst thing that I ever had. I had one time and it messed my fishing up awful. So I try to stay away from a job.
Right, right.
But
That's right.
boat payments are pretty tough to make if you're not winning tournaments or if you don't have a job.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, every month it's gonna be there, come rain or shine.
It's a catch-22 to all that. The bad part is
Yes, sir.
you got to catch fish.
That's right. That's right.
But
That's right. You got to bring them across the stage.
Yeah, for me, the biggest motivator I had was poverty. People say, man, you made the money more times in a row than anybody. Well, I had to. I had a bank note to pay off, so I didn't have much choice. You got to do it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But I'm fortunate enough to have my parents backing me. So I enjoy being able to fish. Like bass fishing on the weekdays and sometimes on the weekends. And once I have a break from the bass tournaments, you catch me in Venice, either inshore or offshore fishing, pal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, now you say it's your senior year at LSU Shreveport. How many classes are you pretty good shape, or you got to take a lot of classes this year?
Oh, I'm in great shape. So as a matter of fact, I took some summer classes throughout my years in college, and I took some recently, just summer that we're in right now. So I have about 27 hours left. So I do about 5 classes every semester. So I got altogether, I have 15 this semester and 12 the next semester, and I'll be done.
Wow. Well, that's a good position to be in. So you'll get a 4-year degree in finance.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty awesome. I like that. The only degree I have is picking up tin cans or catching fish.
Oh yeah. Hey, I tell you what, it's a good one though. It paid off.
I got a master's degree in picking up tin cans, but they don't pay nothing anymore. Aluminum's way down, and it hurts your back as you get old, all that bending over. So I got to catch a fish.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got to do more casting.
Yeah, that's right. Do you really miss the salt water when you have to go bass fishing? I know that salt water down there in Venice is addictive. Had I caught the first redfish when I was about 16 or 17 years old, I don't know if I'd ever been a bass fisherman.
Look, I tell you what, we went to Venice this weekend. We went snapper fishing Sunday that just passed, and we were done for like 10:30. We ended up having our 4-man limit of snapper, and we ended up catching 15 flounder. And as I said, I had my partner down from Shreveport. He stays up there in Monroe, Louisiana. And he said, man, Chris, I see why you love it down here, man. I think if I lived down here, I don't think I ever bass fish.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that could be a problem. So you've gone through all that. You've had it all, and you still like bass fishing better than all of it, I guess.
Oh yeah. I love bass fishing. It's just different ways to catch them. You get on a live scope or you're fishing shallow, It's totally different.
Now, are you a scoper?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have it on my boat, but if I don't have to use it, it'll be powered off. I only have 1 unit on the front with scope. I say I don't need 2. If I can't catch them off with 1, I don't need it,
It's hard to scope in Venice, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. When I take the bass boat to Venice, I take the unit off.
It don't do you much good. That's interesting how that has created quite a controversy. We talk about it, seems like all the time. I try to stay away from it, but somehow we circle back and it ends up talking about live scope or mega live. And a lot of people like it, a lot of people hate it, and a lot of people love it. So I don't know exactly what is going to be the best thing to do with it, but it's really a fascinating way to fish for me. I enjoy it. I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy the challenge of learning. Fishing's a learning process. You never quit learning, so I've enjoyed the challenge of trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah, it helps. I tell you what, scope helps you out pretty good because I know I had times fishing in South Louisiana down here. I used it in a few places in like 5 feet of water catching crappie, and it paid off for me. You know, I just like to use it to locate fish, but when I'm out on other lakes like Toledo Bend and Sam Rayburn, Clark's Hill or Lake Hartwell, scope's fully active. You know, you watching everything down there. You know.
Oh yeah, so you fish Clark's Hill?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, it was pretty rough for me. I didn't like it. Back to your question earlier, I wish I was saltwater fishing that weekend when I was over there.
That's where I won my first national tournament. I lived 1 hour and 10 minutes from Clark's Hill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't then. When I won the tournament, I lived in North Carolina, but now I moved to South Carolina, and I'm only about an hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes from Clark's Hill.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah,
Nice, nice.
I like it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, practice was pretty good for me over there. It was just the day of the tournament. The fish changed on me, and I just didn't adapt in time enough to catch them. You know, it was pretty rough, but practice was great. You know, it was just one of those tough places for me.
Tell me a little bit about the transition when you go from fishing in 5 foot of water and the grass and all the vegetation you have in Louisiana. All of a sudden, you come to Clark's Hill and it's pretty clean. You got boat docks. You got a lot of extended points and steep drop-offs. How do you adapt and how do you figure that out coming out of a flat 5 foot deep aquatic vegetation fishery into a wide open body of water like Clark's Hill?
Well, it's not quite hard. Like when I'm fishing in 5 feet of water, I'm fishing points, grass points and stuff like that and curves, whereas when you're on a place like Clark's Hill, I'm looking for those main lake points, those steep drop offs and all that good stuff. So I kind of put those two things together, like targeting points and drop offs and stuff like that. And, I put those two things together and I've caught fish doing it. But it's pretty tough, like just when you got to make the transition for as baits wise, like throwing a little Damiki rig on the point, catching 3 pound spotted bass. I'm like, Jesus, man.
Do you ever get burned out on that, or do you enjoy the challenge of trying to figure it all out?
Well, I tell you what, I enjoy the challenge of figuring it out, but what burns me up the most, like that's what happened during the tournament. So in practice, I was catching them on scope with no problem. The day of the tournament, I dropped the Damiki in front of them and I'm watching them shoot at it and then they'll stop, look at it and go back away. And I was just like, wow, man, that was just burning me up the most. I was like, man, this is what sucks about scoping.
Yeah, I have that happen to me a lot. It's kind of like they spit in your face kind of a deal. You see them, and
Yes.
you put the bait right there and they turn and go the other way. What's the
Oh,
deal?
yeah, I hate it.
What's the deal with that? Why they do that?
I think maybe if they can tell it's something it's not ordinary. I mean, it's something I always try to figure out. Or sometimes I say, hey, my lure's too big. I might need to try downsizing it, which I have done, and that paid off. But Clark's Hills was one of those deals where I had like 10 spinning rods on the deck, and I'm changing everything up, and they all just doing the same thing, and I'm like, Jesus, man, this place is just puzzling me. And then you watch another guy that comes maybe 100 yards away from you doing the same thing and end up catching a 4 or 5 pounder. And he's jumping in a boat and you're like, man.
That hurts. That's like a slap in the face, getting the fish spitting in your face and then another angler slapping you in the face. That's tough.
That's right. That's right.
Well, how about your teammates? Do they, pretty much all your teammates, are they scopers as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're all scopers as well. Matter of fact, my partner, he's a big time scoper. He has 2 transducers on the front with 3 units.
Wow, he likes that.
Oh yeah, he does, and he has showed me a few things, and so so that's why I'm like, this year I'm pretty excited for the season, and we're gonna do well.
I need to fish with him. I need a couple of lessons. That would be really cool. I need some of those lessons.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Would love for you to come.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I had a kid that I went fishing with to show him just a little bit about Lake Hartwell, which is another lake not far from Clark's Hill, just up the river from Clark's Hill, and I went out and I fished with him, and we fished live scope, and we could see all these fish, and I had them running from my bait, and we'd drop a bait down to them. They were 20 to 25 foot deep. finally we just started throwing topwater. We'd throw topwater to the same spot over and over again, and they would come up out of 25 foot of water and hit that topwater bait. But if you went down to them, it just spooked them. But we stayed with it, and I thought that was fascinating. So there's so much to be learned that we thought we knew prior to live scope coming on the scene. And now that we see those fish in live time and see how they react, we're learning that we didn't know as much as we thought we knew.
Yeah, it's just, you know, that's the thing for Clark's Hill, you know, like drop catching them on scope and doing some unordinary stuff, you know, throwing a top water and watching them come up, man. It's just crazy, man. You know, that was just the deal. You know, you drop the bait and you just watch him shoot up and you're like, oh yeah, you're about to catch one, you know, and he just changes his mind and goes down. And during the tournament, I'm just sticking with the Damiki rig and I'm just watching him, man. I'm looking at him, just, you know, bouncing it in the face and eventually won a bite. Whereas, you know, like I said, with practice, you know, you see them when you fishing on that point and you know, drop that Damiki rig down there and you watching it fall and you just watch one come up right quick while it's falling, eating it. You know, I was just like, man,
That's
that
fun.
was awesome.
That's fun stuff. That is awesome. Let me ask you, if I had to ask you to, I'm going to write an article about your strength. And so I'm doing an interview with you and I'm writing for a magazine. I said, all right, Khristian, give me a list of what your strengths are. Are you a worm fisherman? Are you a flipper? Are you a pitcher? You're a blade bait fisherman? Are you a spinnerbait fisherman? Top water? Are you a scoper? What are your strengths? And put them in order for me. Let's say 1 through 5.
All right. Well, I would say this. My first strength definitely is being a wormer. I love throwing a shaky head with a trick worm on it. That's always my go-to. And then going to a Senko on a Texas rig, that's like number 2. You know, I mean, those two are always tied on the deck. And then going to number 3, I always have like a wacky worm on. You know, that's always going to be tied on. And as I get to, you know, 4 and 5, it's going to be more than likely a chatterbait or a spinnerbait. And then number 5 would be a jig, you know.
Yeah.
So they kind of all fall under the same category with the first 3, you know.
Yeah, I get it. That's pretty big that you fish that much soft plastics and jigs. You didn't mention a crankbait. You didn't mention a topwater bait. You didn't mention buzz bait. I guess that bladed jig, a lot of people throw that thing now, and it seems, I watch Major League Fishing on TV all the time. It seems like every event, somebody is going to be throwing that bait, and somebody's going to be catching the fish on it.
Oh, yes, sir. It catches fish, definitely. It definitely catches fish, you know. And from time to time, you know, like we said 1 through 5, I always have a frog and a buzz bait tied on it. It'll be on the deck, you know, but you know, I just threw it, you know, every now and then when I'm scouting in practice. But I tell you what, I have caught plenty full of fish on the buzzbait and the frog. I would say that.
Yeah, no doubt. How about, have you caught any redfish on a bladed jig?
Oh, yeah, a bunch of times, definitely. When I'm bass. Oh, yeah, they love it. They love it. They knock it too, man. It's a good bite.
Yeah, I don't like
them. You better hold on.
I don't like them tearing my baits up, though. They're rough on your baits.
Oh, yeah, dang near anything you throw at them. I tell you what, you might be good for catching maybe 3 or 4, and then after that, it's time to put another one on.
Yeah, they bend them all up. How about when you go to Venice, do you catch redfish and bass kind of together a lot?
Oh, yes, sir, all the time. Like when I'm flipping those cane reeds, you know, I might be flipping. I might catch 2 or 3 bass, and then on that 4th flip, bam, catch a redfish. All right, we hooked up, and then go right back, catch another redfish, and then flip again and catch a bass. You know, that's my favorite thing about Venice. You know, you never know what you're gonna catch, and you might catch a flounder, like we did this Sunday that passed.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, isn't it?
Yes, sir. I love it. That's my favorite thing about Venice.
Yeah, I like that. I have not been able to put that together. I wanted to do a show this time. I really thought it'd be cool to do a show catching bass on one cast and catch a redfish on another, but I haven't been able to put that together in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, you know, it's just very seasonal, you know, like once the river gets to falling, you know, that's going to be the best time to go when the water gets pretty clear. That's my favorite time to go. Like right now, it's still kind of high, it's still falling. So give or take, I would say maybe around September, October, it's gonna get a whole lot better.
Yeah,
So stay tuned.
I'm gonna make another little trip. I didn't get my fix satisfied. We caught about 10 a day is about what we caught. We were there 3 days, caught about 35, so just a few over 10 a day. So wasn't quite what I was looking for. I was wanting 25, 30 a day.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I know the feeling, pal. That's how it was Sunday. I was hoping I could get on the reds pretty good, but I ended up only catching 3, and that was it. And the flounder were real good, So I was like, all right, we're gonna take flounder today.
Yeah, that's better eating anyway. I like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I love flounder.
All right, so now you're going back to school and you're going up Kentucky Lake and you're going to compete, and then you're coming back to Rayburn and compete. How often do your team, all your teammates, say you got about 20 teammates, how often do you guys have an event? Is it every weekend, every other weekend, one a month? How often do you have these events?
So more than likely we'll have sometimes we'll have 2 events for those 2 weekends, but we'll head back home and we'll do a little inter squad tournament to sharpen up our skills. I tell you what, coach has us dang near fishing every weekend, so that's what I love. And it's kind of like living the dream, I say, every weekend you're fishing. Either you're fishing against your teammates, which we're fishing against one another for those big level tournaments, but I like doing the inter squad tournaments.
Yeah, that's good. What is the biggest challenge for your team? What is the biggest hurdle you have? Is it funding? Is it boats? Is it boat captains? Is it opportunity, travel money? What is your biggest obstacle as a collegiate angler?
My biggest obstacle and the team's obstacle, I would say, is, funding, definitely, because, every year, you have to work on getting sponsors and, keeping your original sponsors that you have, because sometimes you might get like a 2 or 3 year deal, and, you got to be like, oh, all right, well, we're going to have to find something else, So that's my biggest hurdle.
I think that is also the biggest hurdle in high school fishing. I teamed up with a buddy of mine named Danny Bennett, and we started a little fundraising opportunity for high school. And now we've rolled that over into college as well. It's called Huckleberry Apparel. And we've got a program where a teammate or a team as a whole can go in and sell apparel, sell their uncle, their aunt, their dad, their neighbor, their friend, or their fishing buddies, whomever, a hat, and make about $10 off of every hat they sell. And then a hoodie, they make about $15 or so off a hoodie. Across the board, they make 30% on anything they sell, which is a big number, and it allows these teams to have enough funding for the most part. If a kid wants to get out to work, Khristian, I know you do a lot of guiding, you do a lot of work, and you're not afraid to work. So many of these kids are looking for sponsorship, and they don't understand that. You're not in a position to create a market for a lure company or a tackle company to give you money. So actually, what you're asking for more than a sponsorship is just a handout. And this Huckleberry Apparel opportunity allows a person to go in there and work and actually earn the money they need to run their team. And so we unveiled that at the Bassmaster Classic, this past Classic, and out in Oklahoma and at Grand Lake, and it was well received. And we've got that program. We're refining it as we go. I wanted very much to get Mossy Oak involved. Mossy Oak's a Mississippi company, and they're really a conservation-minded company. Mossy Oak's they have a brand of camo that I've always worn and I've liked, but they're more, to me, Mossy Oak is more a conservation company. And they stand for the angler, they stand for the hunter, they stand firm on issues to replenish the resource and to preserve the resource, stocking programs. They've been so instrumental in helping preserve the wild turkey. And I just want them involved in this process to help raise money and also bring awareness to our need to catch and release and do the things to preserve the sport for our future generations. So Huckleberry and Mossy Oak is in the midst right now of trying to get a line to work together to offer an opportunity not only for high schools but for LSU Shreveport to have your team sign up, come on board, and sell apparel. Instead of asking for a sponsorship, take the bull by the horn and create your own revenue through this program. What's that sound like to you?
It won't be pretty bad. I wouldn't mind doing it. I know right now, we just landed a deal with Hook, so they've been sponsoring us for about a year and a half now, going on 2 in 2025. So we had that opportunity we've been dealing with. So I probably like it. It's pretty fair.
What kind of program does Hook have for you to do fundraisers?
Oh, we haven't gotten to that yet. Right now, they're just sponsoring us, and we're getting clothing and stuff like that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got you. That's good that they do that, but there's a lot greater need as we go around the country and we talk to these high schools and a lot of the collegiate teams as well. There's a lot greater need than just personal equipment. There's a need for money to pay for gasoline, for travel, for going from Shreveport to Kentucky and back, and you're in college and you're paying rent and you're paying tuition and you got all these other things. There is a definite need for money, and so this is what this opportunity is all about. So it's a whole lot different than just offering personal equipment or apparel.
Yes, sir, and that's pretty awesome. I tell you what, when I was fishing in high school, I wish they had that, and I wish I knew you at the time because I definitely would have jumped on it. I tell you that.
I spent about 5 years trying to get this program off the ground, and it was just an idea. I would go to these high schools, and these guys would always come back to wanting sponsorship. And so I told them, I said, guys, really, let me explain something to you. And I'll say this for the college guys as well. Sponsorship is when you get yourself as an individual or a team in a position that you have got influence on the consumer enough that if they invest in you or sponsor you, you create enough sales to make that an investment for that company. If you can't do that, then you're not really asking for a sponsorship. The way it works for me, if I can generate enough notoriety and publicity and demand for a product, that's job security. Then I keep my sponsors. But if I don't, then they want to go the other way. So to start out, I know right up firsthand, a high school team doesn't have enough influence on the consumer public on a national level to get a sponsor. So we got to figure out a way that they can get their funding and make it work. And so I wanted to align myself with a company that would allow them to make a very significant amount of money. Everybody says, well, 5% or 10% or even 15%. And I said, that ain't going to do it, man. It needs to be 30%. It needs to be a big number where when they sell that hat, they make $10. And that's where we're at. So I'm pretty excited about it, and I hope you guys get involved in it.
Absolutely, we wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind doing it. That's a real great opportunity for someone to jump on that's less fortunate. Yeah,
well, that's what we need. We got too many less fortunate high school teams out there that are going broke. We don't want them to do that. We want them to keep on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I remember with me in high school, going to local business owners saying, hey, I'm on the West St. John fishing team. Would you mind sponsoring? Any donation would help. And I can remember those days, going to this company, that company, whereas what you have going on, man, I tell you what, that's a huge, big step for those high schoolers. I tell you that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you yourself actually went and knocked on doors and asked for help for your team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was always an outgoing person. I don't mind speaking with anyone I see, like, hey, I'm such and such, getting to know you.
Yeah, I like that, but that you're willing to work for it. And I think that is a good thing. I think that more of these kids need to really work and achieve something to see the reward of effort. You know, everybody feels a little bit like they're entitled to this. Man, I deserve this. I'm the
Absolutely.
future of fishing. Man, we ain't entitled to nothing. We don't work for it.
That's right. That's right. That's what I tell you what, my dad did a great job, teaching me that and telling me that. I was always like, look, hard work's gonna pay off, and you're just gonna appreciate the value of something, like what you work for and where you stand now, and I just sit back and look like where I'm at now. I'm like, man, I just sit back and think, man, thank you, Lord. This was a huge blessing.
How awesome it is to have a family that supports you and works with you and helps you go to college and allows you to live your dream. I know when I was a kid, my dream was to be a bass fisherman. And so here you are getting support from your family. You made it to the college level. And there ain't no doubt in my mind you're probably going to make it on the pro level. It's just about work, 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 and make it happen. So you got the energy for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the goal, pal. I told myself I'd be in college where I'm at now, and I also told myself I'll be walking across the stage one day. So I want to do it.
That's got to be an awesome feeling now that you're a senior, now that you see the finish line in sight. And I know there had to be discouraging times as a freshman and a sophomore as you moved up and thinking, oh gosh, this is going to last forever. It's too hard. I'm never going to make it. But being determined and working, and now you see that finish line in sight as a senior getting a degree in finance, that's got to be a great feeling.
Oh, it's an awesome feeling. The only thing I'm like is, man, I just wish it can go a little slow because it feels like it's passing fast, man. Because I'm like, man, this is my last season with the team, and I'm like, man, it's going too fast.
You'll learn that in general. I'm 71 years old now, and I was 40 years old about 3 weeks ago. I mean, bam, it is gone. What in the world happened? And the Bible says life is like a vapor. It's here today and gone tomorrow. And you don't think that way when you're in grade school or junior high. You think, man, life that ever going to be 3 o'clock, I'll get out of this school. But then all of a sudden you get to be a senior in college and you realize it's all going too fast.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I say that all the time, pal. Like I can remember getting off the bus, going home, calling my buddy saying, hey man, let's go to the pond, let's go fishing, and now here we are.
So that was from the very beginning of your high school years. If you, as soon as you got off of school, you was ready to go fishing.
Oh yeah, all the time, every day.
And how did you get hooked on bass? Because you live in a part of the world that is primarily hooked on all the saltwater because it's so fabulous. I mean, you've got so many opportunities where you're at to catch all these wonderful saltwater species. And here you are living right in the middle of that, and you became a bass fisherman.
So, growing up, I want to say maybe around when I was around, well, my dad had me fishing since I was in a diaper. But that being said, growing up, my dad was always a big time saltwater fisherman. He always would be out in Shell Beach, Venice, Delacroix, all those surrounding bodies of water in South Louisiana. So I was always with him saltwater fishing. And then from time to time, we would do some freshwater fishing, do a little crappie fishing, and maybe a little bass fisherman. My dad was never a big time bass fisherman, but he had a good friend by the name of Vernon Silver, a guy that used to fish the BFLs and FLW circuits and all those organizations, tournaments and stuff like that. We got together and was like, man, Dad, I want to start bass fishing. I seen a few guys on the lake bass fishing and stuff. I'm like, man, that looks pretty cool. That's something I want to try. So he bought me a couple of bait casters. Me and him would go fishing on our own. We caught a few, and we finally had a chance to catch up with Vernon. And sure enough, me and Vernon went fishing one day, and I ended up catching, really, I want to say, I think this was about my second or third bass, and ended up being 8 pounds and 1 ounce. And after that happened, oh man, I was hooked. And me and Vernon got to talking, and he was like, man, Chris, you can start a high school bass team at your school. I'm like, oh, really? All right, well, we're going to do this. So sure enough, I had to go to school. I'm in 8th grade now, so I'm like, oh man, I go to my principal. I'm like, Mr. Hill, I want to start a fishing team over here and stuff. And he's like, yeah, we can do that. We just have to find, one of the teachers or someone to be a sponsor. So I'm like, all right, I can make that happen. So I had a history teacher. Her name was Miss Dorville, and sure enough, she helped me out, and she was 100% on board with it. So sure enough, we start, this fishing team in high school, and I got Vernon as my coach, man, and he just, trained me throughout the whole year from 8th to 12th grade. He taught me everything I know now, and it's made me a pretty good angler. I appreciate it every day.
That is so fascinating. So you actually are the guy that built the foundation for your high school fishing team. It was your idea.
Yes, sir.
Man, that is amazing. That is amazing. Then recruited Vernon to come back and be your coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He was in my corner and backing me saying, Chris, look, you get this fishing team started. Look, I'll be your captain 100%. And I loved it. We got to travel to Toledo Bend. We went to Lake Chickamauga for the BASS high school nationals, Lake Cumberland in Kentucky. I enjoyed my high school year. I tell you, it was pretty awesome fishing with a guy that's been all over the world,
Man, that is awesome. You're throwing out a lot of lake names that you've already had the experience to fish. And for a Louisiana guy, that's a pretty big achievement to be able to go to school, work on getting a degree in finance, fishing on a collegiate level, and traveling all over the country, fishing all these different lakes. That's got to be something you don't want to end. I can understand why you want it to slow down.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's the reason.
Well, I'm so proud of you. That is so awesome, and to be able to earn a degree is so difficult. Something I was never able to achieve. I'm about as academically inclined as a rock, so I never had a chance. But I appreciate the guys like yourself that discipline yourself to stay at it and be determined to work and get that degree. And so many people start, but very few finish. And I think that's awesome that you're doing that.
No, it is. It is just a blessing all the time. I thank the Lord every day for it. I just can't ask for better, Mr. Hank. I appreciate it to the highest,
Well, you look at where we are today in our crazy world, and you see so many kids that are involved in drugs and so many kids that are involved in all these abstract things that take them down. And I looked at you, and when you and I talked, I saw a kid that is so full of life, so full of energy, so respectful to everybody who's around. You were so respectful to me. And I just saw something in you that made me want to get you on this podcast. I saw that you're just such a kid that's so excited about life that I wanted to be a part of that. That's kind of contagious, You get me pumped up, you get me all excited, and I just wanted to kind of pick your brain a little bit about what your ideas for the future and how you got to where you are. We've discussed all of that. And so now you've got one more year of college and fishing to look forward to. Then you're going to go into the financial world, get a real job, start fishing on the BFL side of things and try to earn your way up. And is your ultimate plan to, hey, I want to be a pro fisherman. I want to be like Larry Nixon or Roland Martin or whomever. Is that your dream?
Yes, sir. It is the dream. As a matter of fact, I said once I finish college, hopefully I could do well on those tournaments and on the trail on the BFLs and work my way up the ladder like I did in high school, and on my off time do a lot of offshore fishing and saltwater finish.
What's your mom and dad think of that?
Oh, they love it. They're 100% support me on it.
How is their priority get that real job and then do this, or are they okay with you to go fishing?
Oh, well, they want me to get the real job, which I am going to do, but I'm going to still fish, trying to do both, trying to kill two birds with one stone.
Now you're my kind of guy. I like that. I figured mom and dad was pretty excited about that real job. All that college expense, it's a pretty good burden on a mom and dad. I got some grandkids I've helped out. Man, education definitely is not free.
Oh no, oh no, no sir, no sir.
That's good. Well, I'm going to tell you, as you prepare for these tournaments, tell me a little bit about what you do and how you prepare for a tournament as a team. Do you guys go in? Do you study maps? Do you Google a lake? And do you discuss what your strategies are going to be? Going in?
Well, we look at those lakes, being the guys that get together, we'll be like, hey, look, we'll look at the mapping, look for points, humps, ledges, and all that other good stuff, We'll sit back and, based on what time of the year it is, we'll sit back and say, hey, look, we might need to go try to fish deep or fish shallow, and we work together as a team and share information with one another. And it has paying off for us because, hey, like I said earlier, we finished sixth in the country this year with the point standings, so us just sticking together, bonding as a team, helping one another out. I know for sure we can definitely finish first this year.
Man, that is really incredible. Now, when you do all that, you sit around and you look at these maps and you make notes and you talk about, well, we're going to try this area, maybe deep water, maybe a ledge. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. Do you set a strategy that when you get to Kentucky Lake, which is a gigantic lake, I don't know, 65,000 surface acres of water or so, do you decide that, okay, Team A, you go here. Team B, you go to this area. Team C, you go to this river, this creek. Do you divide up, or do you all just go wherever you want to go?
You asking that question. That's a real good question. I would answer that saying, we kind of do both. Just about like some of us will say, hey, look, we're gonna launch up in this area. We're launching that area. And we're start off fishing deep. Like last year, I'll be honest with you, we called them shallow, fishing around the boat docks. So this year it might be something different, Yeah,
that's the one thing about. I was just talking with Andy Morgan about how fish change and how a pattern changes. And once you watch Major League Fishing and you watch the score tracker, a guy will get hot and start catching them, and all of a sudden he'll cool off, and then these guys over here that weren't catching. So fish change throughout the day. People say, well, they change from practice. Man, not only do they change from practice, they change throughout the day, so you got to adapt to that. So when you go to a big body of water like Kentucky Lake, you got to collect a lot of information in practice to really digest and know exactly how to set your strategies for the tournament. So it looks to me like it would be a big advantage if some guys went to the river area and some guys went to the dam area and some guys went to maybe Blood River, the biggest creek or tributary feeding the lake, and set your strategies where you could get information after the first day of practice. Then you could all kind of come together and figure out where you need to concentrate to put your final strategies together.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We do it all the time, man. It's a big lake, like you said, 65,000 acres. That's a lot, And I remember when we got up there on the Monday, we started practicing, and it was pretty rough, We didn't catch a lot of fish in practice. We were being honest with you. We started catching fish like almost the last day of practice and the 2 days of the tournament, So I would say it's one of those lakes, you just got to put in a lot of time because practice, was pretty tough. And on the last day, I remember us catching a 5-pounder in the brush top on a drop shot. And I was like, all right, this place is pretty fun, So sure enough, by our school was doing pretty good. And the point standings, a camera guy interviewed us at the meeting the night before the first day. And he's like, hey, look, we're going to come out and film y'all. And as a matter of fact, we go to the brush tops in the morning and we don't catch crap. We're like, uh-oh, we got to switch up. So we did a little bit of shallow water fishing, and it was just like, okay, that's what we're gonna try to do. And sure enough, we went in a little pocket and fished some boat docks, and man, we started wearing them out. We was catching fish almost every cast on every slip, and caught some 3-pounders. Oh yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. Yeah, well, and all that was on camera too,
Hopefully that'll repeat itself. It probably won't. It'll probably be a completely different pattern, but hopefully that repeats itself. Yeah. That would be fun.
Oh yeah. It would be fun if it was like last year, but I'm ready for any challenge that approaches me,
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time on the podcast. I've enjoyed talking with you. And wrapping things up, just kind of tell me where you are approaching this year, how your strategies are going to be as a team. You were number 6 overall last year. Your plan is to win it all this year. So give me a little idea on what you're going to do different this year to go from number 6 in the country to up to number 1. What are you going to do different this year that you did not do last year?
Well, I would say, definitely spending more time on the water, just, looking at different things, studying, movements, looking at the weather more often, and just finding more spots to fish and locating fish. That's the main concern, locating fish, If, we can do those again this year, like we just finished 6, I know for sure, as I said earlier, we can be a number 1 team, and just elaborating with teammates, and figuring things out, and we're going to make it happen.
Man, I think that's awesome. I would encourage you, don't lose your enthusiasm. It was such a pleasure to meet you, man. You're so full of energy, and it was contagious, man. You have appreciation for the opportunities to fish and for life in general. And I just, you're the kind of kid that everybody wants to hang around. I wish you was my best buddy. I wish you lived next door and we hang out every day. All that excitement, and it's contagious, and I love that, man. So keep that up.
Absolutely, we'll do, Pell. I enjoyed meeting you. I remember when I arrived over there, Ronnie was telling me, hey, that's Hank Parker. I'm like, oh yeah, I know. I definitely want to meet this guy,
Well, it was sure exciting, and man, I sure appreciate you coming on my podcast, and I wish you a lot of luck. Get them at Kentucky Lake, and then go over there in Rayburn and win that one. Just win them all, man. It ain't no use to be there if you ain't gonna win.
That's right. If you're not first, you're last.
Come on. I love it, man. Well, Khristian, thank you so much, my buddy, and I sure do appreciate it. And I thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. God bless you. I'm Hank Parker.